Hello everyone, it's me Tony from Black Thought, and I'm back at it again with another video. This one's going to be about Biden's plan for Black America. Once again, this is part 2 in the series. If you want to watch part 1, it's on criminal justice. There's a little bubble right around there. It should open up and you can click it. This one is going to be about housing, how he plans to address the housing concerns of Black Americans all across this country. So if you're worried about buying a house and you're Black, stick around. Thank you. So to start off, Biden wants to expand Black homeownership because he believes that homeownership is the primary way to build wealth in this nation. And while yes, that is true, most millionaires become millionaires because of home ownership or because of ownership, period. And he wants to extend that same gratitude to Black Americans. He does not really get into how he plans on doing this specifically for Black Americans while looking at his platform. And this is a disclaimer as well. It says, you know, this is for Black Americans, and then in the actual literature or the actual writing, it says for all Americans, for every Americans. There are some parts that are Black specific, but for the most part, it kind of just addresses America as a whole. Now, let's get into it. So, first thing he wants to do, he wants to invest $640 billion over the next 10 years into expanding affordable housing across the nation. Now, this comes in an array of very different methods. Some of them I'll touch on here. Some others ones we won't really have to worry about because those are not your average person that they'll go to, at least from my understanding. I could be wrong on that. This isn't a part of that $640 billion investment, but it's still a really good thing. Biden plans to give every single new homeowner, I mean your first house, not your second, third rental property, no, your first property. He plans to give you $15,000 to buy it. Now, that sounds a lot. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a really good thing. Please understand that $15,000 is not an upfront payment for you to buy your house. Please understand that is a tax credit. It's going to come in the form of a tax credit. So what that essentially means is the moment you buy your house, the moment you sign the papers to say this is all 100% done, you will get a $15,000 tax credit for that year. It's instantly awarded to you. However, you won't see the effects of it until you file your taxes. So that is step 1 in his plan for increasing home ownership in the Black community, because all Black people would receive this tax credit. However, it's not specific to the Black community. It's more of an everyone type deal, which I'm not saying is bad, I'm not saying it's good. I just want to say the plan as it was written. Biden also wants to institute an a housing appraisal standard across the nation. This comes as he recognizes there is a disparity in terms of housing appraisal for predominantly Black communities versus predominantly white communities, and how predominantly Black communities are appraised tens of thousands of dollars less than predominantly white communities for homes of equal value, that is. And so he wants to address that by creating an appraisal standard across the nation, meaning no one can go against the standard, whether they are in Detroit, Michigan, Tampa, Florida, where I'm from, or anywhere across the nation. So yeah, that's going to be something good that goes toward a direct benefit explicitly for Black Americans. This also will in turn, though, affect housing across the nation for everyone, but it was specifically brought about because of disparities in the Black community versus the white community as it pertains to housing appraisals. And this means a lot because this means that Black homes will be worth more, or better said, Black homes will be worth equal. Not more, not less, equal. Meaning it's better for wealth over time, it's better for leveraging your property for more money, for example, if you want to start a business venture and anything like that. So that's going to be a good thing. This is going to sound kind of like it should have already been a thing. Understand that this was a thing. It got rolled back under the Trump administration, and now it's back again. Now that Biden's going to be getting into office. Essentially what this new thing is, or not new thing, but this thing he's bringing back is a rule that says lenders cannot discriminate based on race. as well as that credit approval places cannot discriminate based on race, meaning your race will not play a factor in you getting loans. And I can give you an example on this. So for example, in Miami, Florida, when it comes to home ownership, the Black community is awarded lesser loans to buy houses in Miami, Florida. They get higher interest on their loans of less money, and they're also pointed towards specific areas, meaning they cannot buy homes, or they're not offered to buy homes in areas that are predominantly white. They point them toward areas that are predominantly minority. He's essentially saying that we cannot, not we, but that cannot be a thing anymore, that has to be gotten rid of. And he's gonna say that he's the one. He's saying he's the one to get rid of it. I'm sorry for the stumbling. I practice this video, but I'm always nervous to do these. Apologies. But anyways, moving forward. This one may sound interesting to you. He wants to give localities, meaning regular cities and counties, the ability and the resources to fight gentrification. Meaning, he's gonna give localities and municipalities the resources they need to investigate if gentrification is taking place. Meaning that regular cities and counties will now have the ability to say, hey, that's gentrification, that can't happen, that needs to go, if outsiders come in to try and develop the area and stuff like that, and remove Black folk as well as any other minority in that area out of that area, so they can make it a predominantly white area by basically gentrifying it, point blank period. If you don't know what gentrification is, that's another video in and of itself. It basically has to deal with making areas too expensive for Black folk to live. Okay, 3 more things. Stick around, please. 3 more things. The next one is actually really interesting because I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm excited to see how it evolves. He wants to create a public, meaning a government-run credit reporting agency, meaning an agency like Equifax, TransUnion, and I think Experian are the 3 right now. They're all private entities that determine what kind of credit you have. So he wants to create a public credit reporting agency that will determine what credit you have based on the government's assessment of your credit. It does not only limit you and your credit to things that you have currently. For example, instead of not reporting things like your car, or instead of reporting only things like your car loans and other loans you have, this will also report things like your renter's history, how well you've paid your bills over time, your utilities, even stuff, maybe, possibly, I might be getting ahead of myself, even stuff like your phone payment will be able to go into this credit reporting agency so that you can have the best possible score guaranteed by the government when lenders are looking at your credit. So that one I'm excited for. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out, especially being with the student loan crisis we're in currently. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Okay, you know how I mentioned earlier that lenders will no longer be able to discriminate based on race? Well, Biden also wants to institute a rule, or I guess reinstall a rule, better said, because it was rolled back during the Trump administration, saying that you can sue a lender or any agency that has to do with housing, basically, if you believe that they are discriminating against you. Before, or better said, under Trump, it had to be overt discrimination, meaning that, let's say you went to a bank, or Bank of America, for example, and you said, hey, I want a loan for a house, or you went to some other organization, I want a loan for a house, and they said, no, you're Black. That was what Trump, his administration, kind of labeled this issue up to. Biden is saying, no, we need to do this even if it is not explicit. So, for example, if you went to a loan agency and you applied for the exact same amount and you had the exact same credit as someone else who also applied, and let's just say you even applied to rent out the exact same home, basically, just because I want to keep the sameness throughout everything. You had the exact same job, exact same everything, right? And they gave you a higher interest rate or less funds to buy that house than the other person vying for that house. You know, if you can prove that, which if you have the documentation, you could, then you can sue because it is not explicit. However, it was discrimination because you are a minority, because you're black. I'm going to say because you're black because I'm black. But, you know, even if you're Hispanic, I know I have a lot of Hispanic followers. So even if you're Hispanic, same thing for you. And then last but not least, thank you guys for sticking around for the entirety of the video. Please follow me on Instagram at black.thought. It's spelled BLK.thought. Thought spelled like a mental thought. On Twitter at Tony for Florida Tony for Florida. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And the very last thing, this one's really important. This one is really important. The very last thing. This one is really important. The very last thing. This one is really important. He wants to institute a rent freeze for certain individuals who are struggling for the remainder of this crisis, as well as he wants to halt foreclosures and evictions for the remainder of the crisis. And obviously, this is kind of controversial, not really, but kind of because of the current state of politics, where yes, you have a rent freeze, yes, you are halting evictions and foreclosures, but that other entity that needs those loan payments, for example, your landlord, if you're renting, they are not getting paid, obviously. So I assume that the government under his administration would have at least some kind of program to offset the lost funds on the other side of that. But yeah, so that's the Biden plan for Black America as it pertains to housing. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Please leave a comment. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Anything, I'd love to talk to you about them. Thank you.